Okay, now that you have a better idea of what your prospect is looking for related to your product or service, you'll want to come up with a big theme, a big idea that resonates with them and is very unique in getting attention. So what exactly do we mean by a big idea? Well, David Ogilvy here, if you haven't heard of him, he was a very famous Madison Avenue executive who had many principles that are still applicable today in advertising that works. And he said, it takes a big idea to attract the attention of consumers and get them to buy your product. Unless your advertising contains a big idea, it will pass like a ship in the night. So you're going to see a lot of examples throughout this that explain what we mean by a big idea. Let's take a magazine, for example, a journal. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gee, we're out of magazines, we need to buy some more. No, they need a much bigger reason to plunk down money for a magazine, a journal, an online subscription, any of those things now. So you need to give them a big promise of how that magazine's information is going to change their lives in meaningful ways. So here's an example, International Living's Global Retirement Index. Discover the best places to retire in 2017. That is the big idea, that if you want to retire, what are the best places? You could go anywhere. But where are you going to find your perfect place with countries that have been ranked by different factors that will be of importance to you? So that's the big idea here. The big idea really is a big promise, and it's an overriding benefit that flows through all of your copy for a promotion. It's got to be something that's new, strong, timely, unique, and very compelling to the prospect. It's got to be quickly understandable, and it has to be impactful. It taps into deeper psychological benefits. Now think about the big idea here. This incredible 14mm chip contains one device to end all disease. Seriously, one device to end all disease? That is definitely a big idea, and it only costs less than $50. I need to read what that is. I personally have to know what that is. One device. This is a teaser for an investment newsletter that gives you insights into stocks that are changing the world. Now, if we continue with this example, you can see that it has a built-in benefit to the reader. They're going to find out about a device that ends all disease, and the reader just has to know more. It's too compelling, right? If you're the right audience. Now, you might say, I'd never read that, but you might not be the prospect, so that's always something to keep in mind too. But it's okay to jar the reader, you just don't want to offend them. And we'll talk about voice soon because it matters. You know, your product's going to have a different voice or approach to the prospect than something like this would. Here's Paul again, and his take on the big idea is that it's responsible for at least 30% of your promo's success, maybe more, because a strong big idea will spawn a more effective headline and lead and get attention and get readership. Here are some big ideas that have come out for different promotions over the years that have worked incredibly well. Like the Atkins diets, you can't be blamed for your weight problem. It's all the media, it's the fast food, it's things are delicious because they have certain pheromones in them. It's not your fault. So that's a big idea. It's not your fault. And then another big idea is make money no matter how bad the economy is. Well, that's interesting. And that was a big one when everything tanked in 2008. And it was tough in the stock market. You can heal yourself without doctors or drug. Now that's one that might resonate with people who are looking for an alternative. How about natural products can be extremely harmful? That might get attention. The government exists for its welfare, not yours. Maybe a lot of us feel that way. And then emotions can kill you. Interesting, right? So those are all ideas that when presented to the right prospect, will really make an impact. Here's one, it's a classic, and I apologize for the blurriness, but that's the only image we could get of it. It's really the big idea articulated in a strong message. So that's the thing. The big idea is the concept, and then how you articulate it can be different and tested and all of that good stuff. So here's one that's always been a popular, very successful promotion, what never to eat on an airplane. And if you travel like I do on an airplane, well, the days of having food served to you are over, right? But when this was done, airplane meals were common, but you had to open this envelope to know what you should not ever eat there. Book titles use the big idea all the time. Think of the old classics that are still wonderful today. Think and Grow Rich, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And here are 2 that are out now. They're current. The 4-Hour Workweek has been a huge success for Tim Ferriss. And newsjacking is a really interesting PR idea about attaching your product or service's copy to a big idea that's out in the news right now. So magazines use big ideas all the time because they have to get people's attention. Picture a magazine shelf anywhere with dozens of choices. How do you make that your magazine stand out? Well, you have big ideas. So magazines help people become in the know or in control of something, better ways to do something. And every issue gets to the heart of prospect desires. So here for Weight Watchers, we have Holidays Made Happier. Holidays are a tough time for people who are trying to lose weight, but Weight Watchers can help you figure that out. That's the big idea there. Here's some more big idea concepts to think about. A tech gadget or an app might make the reader or the prospect feel like they're cutting edge, smart, and they've solved a problem. An education program might lead to an intelligent or secure feeling in the prospect. And then exercise equipment, of course, makes the person feel like they're going to become more attractive and be more powerful. This is an app that helps people on the go find where the traffic log jams are and get around those. And it's based on everyone who uses the app weighing in on where there are problems in the traffic. So that's kind of cool. Get the best route every day with real-time help from other drivers. That's the big idea there, is it's the first one that really seems to have input from the drivers where they are. People ask, do I put the big idea in my headline or do I put it in my... Where do I put that idea? Well, it's a concept that is an overarching idea that flows through everything in your promotion. Or if you're doing a web page, it's in every part of your web page flowing through. In talking about the big idea, I wanted to make sure I introduce you to Katie Yackel. She's one of the founders of AWAI as well, and she's been at the helm for 20 years, making sure everything we do helps copywriters become successful. So her interpretation of the big idea is the following. So the headline or lead, and we'll talk about what that is in a minute, it introduces the big idea or houses it. It brings it to a hook that brings in the prospect emotionally instantly. The first 4 paragraphs, if you're doing a sales page online or a letter, will cover the big idea and add credibility about it or proof. And then you weave it again throughout the entire promotion in different subtle ways. We'll show you how that works. And even the call to action at the end where you're asking the reader to do something. Here's an example of a big idea playing out in a recent promotion online. You can skim $5,250 per month using my secret banking passcode. That's an idea that you can somehow get access to something that most people can't. You can secretly, quietly divert payments from electronic banking transactions legally into your private bank account on a continuous basis. What is that all about? Well, basically, if you saw the movie Office Space, you'll know what I'm talking about. They found a way to take pennies through electronic transactions and divert them into their own account. And it was incremental, so nobody really knew it was happening. And that's kind of what they're talking about here. The writer of that promotion got the idea from Office Space. It's a fantasy benefit that everybody has in mind. How can I slowly build wealth in a legal way, of course, but doing something that is kind of in my sleep over time, incrementally building? So this promotion says, we'll show you how to do that. All right, a question we get a lot is, how do I come up with a big idea? Well, first of all, you want to start with your prospect and look at those benefits and the desire that they have related to your product category or service category. And you want to create a connection with your copy between what they're looking for and what you offer. So you're really giving readers what they need to hear, what they want to hear. They already have in their mind or even in the back of their mind that's a problem or something they'd like to achieve. So find nuggets in your research as you're going along and let it simmer in your subconscious. Jay Livingston here, who is an incredibly successful copywriter, said, "The big idea is an intuitive leap after the mind is cleared. But first you will have done all your research into the prospect and your product and things that are happening related to the category you're in." Another way to come up with a big idea is to try cross-fertilization. Here are a couple of quotes about that. Often the best ideas come from cutting across disciplinary boundaries and looking into other fields for new ideas. So let's say you're in software. Maybe you look in the world of gardening to come up with some cool idea that's different about helping something grow and flourish. Another great quote is, "I went to Reed College where most of the men took modern dance classes to meet the women." That's Steve Jobs. Pretty cool. We've talked about the big idea. Now we're talking about the power of one. A lot of copywriters, when they're starting out, make the mistake of getting so excited about their product benefits that they cram them all into the headline or the idea that's going to flow through the copy. But really, Mark Morgan Ford preaches and teaches that you want to keep it simple. You want to keep that big idea a singular concept. He says, I pulled out of my box the best promotions of all time and went through them. Not all of them were on a single topic, but many of them, a good 90%, began by hitting one idea strongly. So let's go back to those books for a second that I showed you. Think and Grow Rich. That is one concept. So you want to be looking for that when you're writing your copy. So Mark goes on with these tips about coming up with a single idea. Avoid the tossed salad approach. And again, that's throwing everything into your promotion because this is important and this is important. And we often have run into that when coming up with a website. For example, the homepage, we have to say everything about what we do. Well, no, you don't. If you have one big idea, one concept that brings people in, draws them in, then you can explain all the different things around that matter. All right, second, lead with only one powerful benefit. It goes without saying, we've talked about it already, but think about those books again. Think and Grow Rich, The 4-Hour Work Week. Very simple one concept ideas. Make sure it creates a single emotion. You don't want people to get confused. If they're looking for a way to get rich, make sure it hits what is it that they need to get rich. Don't confuse them. Support it with one engaging story or fact. The best promotions start out either with one story, one fact, one idea. And then direct the reader to just one action. We've seen a lot of promotions that will ask people to either sign up for something or watch a video or buy now. I mean, it's confusing. The more you can ask the prospect to do just one thing, the more successful your result will be. Okay, so here's some examples of the power of one in headline copy for promotions. And these are actual promotions that have run out there very successfully. So when doctors feel rotten, this is what they do. Aha, that's a really good idea, right? And that's a single idea. What do? How I improve my memory in one evening. Now, I'm not using this example because it says one evening when we're talking about the power of one, but really the concept of improving your memory in a single evening is pretty cool. Is the life of a child worth $1 to you? That's a simple concept, right? How to get free gas every time you fill up. Now, you could do a lot with that, but this is the simple message that draws the person in. And then again, we talked about this earlier, one device to end all disease. That's one idea. So practice that. Now we have one that is very successful. Bob Bly, my friend Bob Bly, who I've introduced you to earlier, he has this simple program that he created on how to write ebooks for profit. Now, we're going to show you this promotion later and you have it in your references, but basically he tells a story how he invested $175 into creating an ebook and selling it online, and he made $20,000 and growing. He still makes money from it. So that's a great real story that gives you credibility that this can happen. The single desirable benefit for all of us is, how can you make huge profits the easy way? I would like to know that, right? And then there's one response or action. Get this book for $19, click now. It's that simple. He's not asking you to try the book or do all these other things. One action. That's an extremely successful promotion, and a lot of your work in coming up with the big idea or one strong concept will come from your research. We're going to dive into research next.